Hey guys, I'm Jeff with the Embroidery Nerd, and today we're going to be digitizing a left chest logo in Pulse DG16. Now, we'll be working in the Illustrator Extreme level, and hopefully I'll be able to give you guys a few tips and tricks that'll help you be able to digitize just a little bit faster. Let's go ahead and get started. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go up here to File, and we're going to do New. Now, I could have just clicked on this little New File icon, but then I wouldn't get this wizard that pops up right here. And we actually want to go here. Now, I could do a blank design, which would just give me kind of the defaults of everything, or I can go to the New Design Wizard. I already have an idea of what this is going to go on, so I'm going to go with the New Design Wizard. We'll go ahead and select that, and we'll hit OK. Now, it's going to ask us for the recipe of the design. Now, this is going to go on a PK polo, so that's going to be right here. But if we were going to put it on anything else, we could go through and we could check here. We could go with shirt cuff, we could go with sweatshirt, t-shirt, towel, but we're actually going to go on a PK polo. And you can see that it actually sets the densities here for us and the overlaps for all of the stitch types that we're going to use, which is going to be beneficial. It'll save us some time in the long run. We'll go ahead and hit next. Now it's going to ask us for the machine format. We can enter in our machine format here. I'm going to be using the ZSK transport code. We can go ahead and hit next again, and it's going to ask us for presets, and I'm just going to use the basics. Next, one more time, I do want it to the start and stop location to be in the center of the design. Here we could change it to the first and the last stitches, or the beginning stitch at the center of the design and the end stitch with the last stitch. But I'm going to do with positioned in the center of the design. We'll hit next. The set of design settings can be saved as a favorite and reused at a later time. I'm not really going to do that because I just assume go through the design wizard myself. And I'm not going to save as default for blank designs in the future. So now I can go ahead and hit finish. And it brings up our windows with all of the values set for us. The next thing we need to do is we need to load our backdrop image. Now, that's simple. We're going to go over to image and we're going to click on load right here. And we're going to navigate to where our art folder is. I already have the art saved under its own folder right here. And I'm going to go ahead and select open. My customer wanted me to do the lettering without the outline. So today we're going to be focusing on the lettering, but without the outline. And this is just some simple lettering that's going to help us go over some of the tools that are in Pulse. Now that we have our art in, we need to make sure that it's sized appropriately. So I can't select it right now because it's actually saved as a backdrop. So we just need to go to backdrop select, and now I can pick it up and I can move it around. We'll go ahead and leave it where it's at. I'm going to hit spacebar here to center it. I can right click on it and I can go to reference tool. So the reference tool is going to give me the size, the length, and the width right here. I can see that it's 82 millimeters, and that's going to be closer to like 3 inches. So I want, and 169 millimeters wide. So I actually want this to be closer to, doing the conversion in my head, 75 millimeters wide, which is going to be roughly 3 inches at 25 millimeters per inch. So I can go ahead and hit resize there, and now it's resized this to the size that I want it. And you'll notice that it resized based off of these 4 points. Now, if I wanted to do this again, I can go back to my reference tool, and I want it actually to go off my furthest left point and my furthest right point, which is over here and over here. So I am going to do my first point here on the left, and I'm just going to come straight over across that line until I get to my point on the right, and I will click again. And then if I wanted to, I could come up and do the height, which I will just now to show you, but I don't necessarily need to do that. So now we have the width here and the height of the box that we just did. To set that at 75 millimeters between this furthest point here and this furthest point here, we're just going to change that number right there, and we'll hit resize, and it'll bring it up just a little bit larger. Now, if we do Control M, let me close that, Control M, we have our ruler, and I can just click here, and I can come straight across until the top of my crosshairs lines up with the top. And you can see we're right at 75 millimeters. It says 74.99. So now we have the art sized. Now we can go ahead and digitize it. So looking at this, I want to digitize this T and the B and the R. I would like to do this leg first. We're going to come down here and do this section here. And then we'll come out and we'll come around and do this section to there. And then we'll come up and we'll do the top of the T. We can do this. This is kind of going center out, bottom up, which we can do if we are digitizing for a hat. So this will give us kind of some more options. If in the future we need to change this for a cap, we'll kind of already have it pathed the correct way. I am going to use my satin path tool right here. Again, all of my settings are up here. I can see them before I start digitizing that I've got a 0.45 density. I've got a standard fill, absolute pull compensation at 0.4 millimeters, a contour underlay, and a zigzag underlay. I can begin drawing the path, and of course this is simple left point, right point. And I'm going to come inside just a little bit, and we will go around the rest of the way. This has a little bit of a curve to it, so we'll add that curve. And you can see it didn't follow the curve. It's simple to just hit the backspace and go from there. Now that I'm at the end, and let me fix that node there, I'm going to hit the O key to close the shape. And if I hit enter, now it's going to ask me for the stitch angle. So I can go ahead and put those in. That I'm going to set right about there. I'll put another one right there. We'll set a stitch angle there. One at that corner and one there. I hit enter again, and it's going to ask me for a virtual split line, which I don't need. So I'll hit enter, and now it's going to render the object there. And we have it in 3D view. I'm just going to go ahead and turn that off. Now if I hit the space bar, I can move around. You may be asking, how do I know what each one of these tools does? And you can actually use that in the tool guide here. So I still have the tool selected. I will do a short run here from there to make sure that it's not going to trim. And now I'll go back to my satin tool, and I'm going to do a left click here at the bottom, and I'm going to come up. And right now it says create my curve. So that's what I'm doing. I'm creating my curves. I'll come right there, 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 and I'm going to close the shape by hitting the O key. Now, once I hit enter, it's going to say enter the angle line. So I want to enter in my angle line there, and I'll put one up here at the top, and I'll hit enter again. And now it's going to ask for virtual slice lines. I can hit enter one more time, and now it's rendered the object. So we've done this object and this object. We can go and continue moving along here. I will grab, again, the satin path tool. I don't need to do anything because I already have it selected. And I'll start right here. We'll go up and around. And I'm going to come right there. And I'm actually going to cap this corner. So I'm going to put a node there, there. We'll come around a little bit, and I'll go there. I'll hit O to close the shape. I'll hit enter, so it'll ask me for my split lines. We'll go ahead and place those there. Put that one right there. Come up, that one there. Put one there, and of course one there. I'll hit enter. Virtual slice lines, we don't have any. And we will continue to move around the shape. Right now I'm just kind of capping this corner right here. We'll hit enter, and again it wants my angle lines, so we'll go ahead and put those in. And hit enter again, virtual slice, we don't need. And now we'll continue on with our shape. Right, right, left, up, close, and I'll hit enter. And I made a mistake here. I hit a key that I'm not quite sure what I hit. And it looks like it closed that object. So I can just go to that object and I convert to, we'll say satin path. And now it's going to ask me for my angle lines. So I can go ahead and put those in. We'll add that one there, and that one there. And we'll hit enter. And now we have that. Let's go back to our satin path tool, which is up here. It's actually F8 on the keyboard if you guys like to do keyboard shortcuts. I do, but during the videos, I try not to use too many keyboard shortcuts so you guys can see where all the tools are located. We'll go up there, over and down to there. I'll hit O key to close the shape, enter again, and now I'm going to put in my stitch angle lines, and we'll go ahead and put that one up there. Enter again. Now we have our object, and I can continue digitizing on the next object here. We'll go ahead and hit O, enter, and I can add my stitch angles there. So now we have the R and the B done. Now we can move over to the O. I'm going to do this in a different way than I just did the last letter. I'm going to use the Art tool. I will click over here, and we're going to draw the inside of this circle first. And I'll hit O to close the shape. Now, before I'm not going to hit enter to end the shape. I'm just going to come up and begin drawing the second shape. And what this is going to do is it's going to combine the two shapes, which is going to give us a really nice path to digitize. Now, if I would have hit enter after I digitized the first path in the center, then it wouldn't have combined them, and I would have had to combine them after the fact. But now that they're digitized, I can simply right click on them, and I can convert segment 2, and we can go to a satin path, and it's going to ask me for my angle lines, and I can go ahead and enter those in here. We'll get one there, one there, one there. I'm going to go with right there. We'll add one in the top there, one there, one there, and one there. And I'll hit the enter key. Now it's asking for virtual slice lines, and I don't need to do those. And now we have our O done. So we've went through how to digitize again with satin path and place things in the order. We're going to have to resequence some of this stuff because you can see here that the start stop points are not quite aligned. That one needs to be up there, and we'll go ahead and regenerate those there, but we'll catch all that at the end as we do a stitch simulation. Now the N I'm going to do a little bit differently. I'm going to again do a satin path, but this time instead of ending every object, we'll come up there and we'll go over there. I am going to combine them into one object. So I'll hit O to close the shape, and then I'll hit the K key, and that's going to allow me to continue going. I'm going to come down here and across to right there, up, and let's make sure that it follows that line correctly. Up, over, and I'll hit the O key, and then I'll hit K again. And this is essentially what we were doing with the O there, except we are doing it as an object already. So I'll hit the O key and I'll hit K again. We'll come up and we will finish off the top of that design, and we'll hit O once more to close the shape. And now I'm going to hit enter, and it's going to ask me for stitch angle lines, and I'm going to begin putting them in now. Now it's asking me for the stitch angle lines for the entire object, so I can come in here and I can just begin to draw the lines on everything, and it will render all of the stitches at one time. So we'll go ahead and add that one there, and that one there, and one there across the top, and I'll go ahead and hit enter. Now it's asking for virtual slice. Enter one more time, and now we have the whole letter. Now you can see that it's got that connecting stitch right there, and to get rid of that, we just need to select that and add a trim. And of course, when we add a trim, we need to add an end lock. So now that stitch is gone, now we'll go ahead and do the C here, and I'm going to do that as a satin path. And we'll just come up and around and down, across, and in and out right there. We'll hit the O key and enter. And now I'm going to draw my stitch angle lines. We'll come right there, right there. We'll bring that one right there, that one right there, and that one right there. And now we've drawn our object. I'll go ahead and hit the space bar and bring it over. And now we're going to focus on this O, and I'm going to turn off the true view so we can see the art a little bit better. And instead of doing a satin path again, I'm going to do this is artwork. And I'll show you guys why here in a second, because we're going to end up using that virtual split line that we've seen. So I'll hit O to close that shape, and now I'm going to trace the outside of the line here. Come across the bottom, down, over, and over. I'll hit O to end the object, and I can hit Enter to stop entering in points. Now, if we select this, and I right click and I say Convert Segment to, and we will go with Satin Path, now I can add stitch angles. So I'm going to set a stitch angle right there. We'll add one right here, one right here, and we're basically just going to force it to go around these curves here. We'll put one right there, one right there. I'm going to add one right here, one right here on the angle, and of course there at the end. Now, with this object being the way it is, it's going to have a really difficult time changing those stitch angles. So if I hit Enter one more time, now we're going to enter in our virtual split line, which I'm going to put it right across that junction right there. So when I hit Enter and it renders the stitches, we'll go ahead and turn on the 3D view. You can see how it's just like I would have started a separate object right there. Now, with the amount of pull compensation that this design has, I do want to, let me do that. I'm going to just space them out here a little bit more. Like that. We'll grab both of those, move them over just a little bit. Those are all connected so they won't move out just a hair. And now it's starting to look a little bit better there. If I want to turn off the backdrop, I can just simply go to my image tab and I can hit the show button, and I can see, you know, I want a little bit less showing there, and I'm just using the Alt and the arrow keys to go through everything. Now I'm going to select everything right here and look kind of at my start and stop points. I've got this one that goes right there. We have our run stitch that comes over, and it goes up and around. We end right there. This object over here should end over here. This object here should also end over here. And we're just making sure that we don't have any weird lines coming out over the top of the stitching, which it all looks good now. Let's go ahead and run through our 3D play here at the end. It's going to do that leg, and then up, of course, that section. And I can see now that I have to change that. It's going to go there and across the top, and of course do the O. And now you're going to notice that it's going to do the N, and it's going to do all of the underlay of the N, and that's because of the way we digitize it by using the K key. It'll do all of the underlay, and then it will do all of the cover stitches over the top. And now we have that. So let's go ahead and we'll just cycle through our objects here, and we can see that it starts there and it ends up there. We have our run stitch. This object starts here and ends here. This one, it starts here and ends here, so we're just going to move that up just a little bit, and we're going to move our stop point down to there. And you can see this kind of green piece right here. That's showing us where our start and stop point is going to be, and our stop point is over there. That one, our start point is there, and our stop point is over here. Then it's going to go up. It starts there, and we'll end it up here. And of course this one is going to start over there, and we can end it right there. So when we're doing this, we have to be careful. When we digitize it this way, we have to make sure that it's pathed. When we do it as one piece like we did here, we didn't have to attempt to path it, and now we have all of our sections here. So I'm going to select the O, the N, and the C, and this O here, and I'm going to make sure that my N command on all of those objects is a trim, and my lock stitch is a lock. This one, it has that as a lock stitch as a line, and we're going to trim there. And now I have this object digitized, and it's digitized using all of the settings of the style that we use for piqué fabric. All right, guys, if you enjoyed our content today, please give us a like and a subscribe. Jump over to our Facebook group at the Embroidery Nerd Group. You can also join our Tajima Pulse group that we have, or you can jump over onto Discord and join our conversation. I'd like to thank you guys for hanging out with me, and we'll catch you next time.